Hey there, how are ya? Welcome to the Fantasy FanReads podcast, where we gather as friends to chat about our shared love of all things reading. I'm Jess, an avid lifelong reader and lover of cozy conversations. So go ahead, grab yourself a cup of something wonderful and come on in. Today's episode is a super exciting one for me because I'm joined by Gretchen Powell Fox, author of the Shattered Crown trilogy, including Smoke and Scar, Splintered Kingdom, and the upcoming conclusion to the trilogy, Shadow and Sun, as well as the Terrestrial duology. How the heck are you doing today, Gretchen?
I am amazing, and all the better because I'm getting to chat with you.
Yay! I'm so excited. Gretchen, this is such a dream come true for me because, I mean, I know you know this, but you were my first ARC or advanced reader copy that I'd ever read in my journey, like on bookish social media. So, like, Smoke and Scar will always have, like, a spot in my heart, I swear.
Oh my gosh, it means so much to me. I'm still so thrilled that you were willing to give it a chance based off of my little, hey, Jess, I love your content. Hope that, I wrote this book. I think that you might like it.
I went back to that first DM the other day and I was like, oh my gosh, where it all began.
Right? Our origin story.
Just a quick heads up for everyone listening as we get started. This episode will be mostly spoiler-free for Gretchen's books, but there will be a few questions at the end of the episode that head into spoiler territory. I'll be sure to give you a warning before we spill the tea. Fantasy FanReads is also the newest podcast in the Fantasy Fangirls Media Network, and as a new show, your support means the world. Please give us a follow at Fantasy FanReads on social media, rate and review the podcast, and spread the word to your friends. Plus, if you want to help support every show under the Fantasy Fangirls Media Network, you can join the Fantasy Fan Club for exclusive content, early access, and ad-free episodes, live Q&As, book club, private Discord, community events, and so much more. Go on over to fantasyfangirls.com/fan club for more information about the Fantasy Fanatics and Deep Divers tiers and benefits where you get all show access. Oh, well, now that's out of the way, Gretchen. I gotta
so much
know.
Exciting stuff.
I gotta know because I wanna talk to you a little bit as a reader also here. Aside from being an amazing author, are you reading anything right now? What's in the docket?
I am reading all the things. I had a very long car trip recently on my way to a book con, and so I started Tourist Season by Brynn Weaver on audio, which is outstanding. I'm having the absolute best time, and it's actually making me pretty excited for my long car ride home because I get to finish the book. So that is what I'm reading on audio. And on my eyeball read, I am fortunate enough to be reading an early copy of Stormbreaker by Nisha J. Tooley, which is her upcoming release. So I've got a little bit of hilarious, dark rom-com happening, a little bit of the fantasy of my heart, all the things.
Oh my gosh, I'm a little bit jealous about that advanced reader copy because I love her other books so much. Oh my gosh.
Me too.
That's so good. Oh, what a dichotomy of stories though.
I like to have a little bit of everything, equal opportunity story lover.
All right. When you're I'm a warm beverage lover, so I like to ask everyone this question. What's your go-to cozy beverage, Gretchen?
I am a dirty chai gal, so I really love, a mug of chai with a shot of espresso and a splash of oat milk usually.
Is a dirty chai the one with espresso, right?
Exactly. So
okay.
Dirty chai means chai with espresso.
I mean, you gotta get your caffeine.
Caffeinated. Exactly. I always need a little extra boost of caffeine. We're doing all of the things. We've got book stuff happening, kid stuff happening. Gotta stay perky.
I don't even know which one is more tiring, honestly. What do you think?
I feel like you could flip a coin every day, and it would just depend on how the kids are being and how the book world is being. They are always neck and neck in the race to exhausting me more.
Right? Oh my gosh, that's the darn truth.
Love them.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, we're not here to judge. I mean, I'm the same.
But yeah, it's a little sapping of energy occasionally in a positive way.
Oh my gosh. Well, if you could have that dirty chai with any two book characters, it could be from your books, could be from other people's books, who are you drinking dirty chai with?
Wow, what a question. I can definitely think of quite a few characters from my own books that I would love to get a coffee with and just chat with. However, I really think that it would be super fun to get to pull some of my favorite characters, obviously from books that I've read. And I think that it would be hilarious if I could get Carrion Swift from Quicksilver and Max and Tarius Farleone from Daughter of No Worlds at my table together and just see what happens, like talk about gardening a little bit maybe between the two of them, and both of them would have like wildly different takes on every subject. I think it would be amazing to just like witness, because you've got, like Grumpy Max over on one side and like, Plant Daddy Carrion like with his quips on the other. I think that this would be really fun, like making a TV show,
It would either be perfect or they would be throwing the dirty chai at each other. And I feel like there's no in between.
1000%. Either way, I would be sitting there like,
you're like, fangirl, it's fine.
Exactly, like just sipping my chai, enjoying the show either way. Like,
all right. Last question before we dig into some like more personal ones. They're all personal for you. Who am I kidding? How does reading and the book world in general bring you joy? Like, what is the joy of reading for you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, how much time do we have to talk about this?
All night.
Yeah, I receive endless joy from both just the act of reading, right? Of diving into new stories, new perspectives, meeting new characters, all of the things that they say, right? You live 1,000 lives as long as you can read it in a book. And then also, as an extension of the experience of actually reading, I have found such a wonderful community in like the bookish world.
Yeah.
I talk occasionally about, and I'm sure we'll probably get into this later, but like the origins of my writer career started a very long time ago, actually, like right at the onset of self-publishing becoming a thing. I published my very first book back in 2012. And so just like back then, bookish social media, book talk, bookstagram, like they did not exist. Like, none of this was there. And so I just feel like I have a lot of perspective on how amazing it is to so easily be able to connect with other bookish people online, to, for indie authors to be able to like connect with other readers and other authors and stuff, just like this amazing like platform that didn't exist back then. I get endless joy from the connections that I've made with readers and authors, like through social media, people such as yourself, being able to just know that I have this huge network of people in which we all share a very big common love, and there's really something very joyous about that. And I got to see it in person at this book con that I was at this past weekend, and stuff like that. So truly, like the benefits and the joy that I get from all aspects of this world, it's innumerable.
That's so amazing. It's so funny you bring up that social media has kind of changed through your writing journey and your bookish journey, because so many people speak negatively about social media, like it's rotting our minds. And okay, like there's some truth to that, but the connection cannot be beat. Like the people that we have access to, like you and I would have never known each other and never spoken if it weren't for Instagram. And there's something to be said about that. And I'm so glad. I mean, I know there's negative things and hateful messages that happen, and like we can't discount those, but there's so much good too in the connection we now have.
There's so much good. And I mean, obviously there's always going to be multiple sides to everything, and everyone's experience is going to be varied. But I do think that it's important to look for the light through the clouds and stuff like that. And remember, like I am an OG believer in the kinds of friendships and relationships that can be fostered online, because before social media really blew up, I was very heavily involved in the blogging world. And that was kind of like a different iteration of what we have now. And some of my best, like most lifelong friends came out of connections just like literally from my comment section on posts and stuff like that. And I can say the same thing has continued to happen because of social media. And these are very much like real life connections, even if we haven't met in real life in person yet. I would still consider these people like some of my closest friends. And I've been very lucky to have some really amazing advocates, for my stories, because I connected with them online and stuff like that. Even when I get super frustrated with like the latest round of drama or seeing some bad actors out there or whatever, I try to remind myself that there's like a lot of good to outweigh the bad.
There is. I would totally agree with you. You mentioned a little bit in that about how your writing journey has kind of ebbed and flowed some. You first published in 2012 and now you're back in the scene with this trilogy. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like, what was the writing journey like for you? How did you get here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've always been a voracious devourer of stories. I've always loved the written word. Like I said, I had like a blog and I was very into writing. I knew that I wanted to write stories, and it kind of came to a head when I was finally motivated to write my very first book, Tara, which is like a upper YA dystopian book. And, I wrote it and I self-published it, and I was lucky enough to have it actually like gain a little bit of a following. And then I actually can't really identify exactly what it is that happened. Life happened. I got a new job that like took a lot of my creative energy because it was a very like creatively fulfilling day job. I met my, boyfriend, then husband. We got married, we had kids, and just like I blinked and it was 12 years later. And I never, like, I didn't write anything else. I didn't publish anything else. And I, finally kind of coming back around to just like not being able to ignore the call of the muse anymore.
Yeah.
I also found out, like, because of the pandemic, that I had like undiagnosed ADHD my entire life. And like, thankfully all of my coping mechanism just dissolved. And so I was able to kind of have like a moment where I like learned a lot more about myself and how I work. And finally, when I started feeling the call to write again, I was able to really lean into it this time and acknowledge some things that I know about myself and the way that I need to, maintain my own momentum and my own love of the craft and love of storytelling. And it really has just taken off from there. I wrote the second book, the sequel to my first book, and I just kind of like tie that up in a nice little bow. And then I dove right into writing Smoke and Scar. I mean, it's gone beyond my wildest dreams, really. I think I just really wanted to tell this story and test my chops at fantasy writing, because that has always been such a huge part of my love in terms of like what I read and the other media that I consume. And I've been so fortunate that other people have fallen in love with, Illyria and Cedric and the characters, and allowed me to kind of continue pursuing this. And now I'm a full-time author. So like the journey was a bit long and winding. I felt a lot of shame over this kind of like decade-long gap in my journey, and a lot of like, what would it have been like, or what would my life have been if I hadn't, dropped off or anything like that. But I also know very much that like if I hadn't taken this exact route and come back at this exact time, I wouldn't have written this exact book in these circumstances and been able to, get the readership that I have and make the connections that I have. So all's well that ends well, despite the twisty path.
I don't know. I'm like enthralled by your answer, because I feel like you really hit something there too, like in millennial women, maybe especially, this feeling that you can't start something again or can't start something late. Like you go to high school, you go to college, you pick your job, and then you just stay on this path, right? And it's scary sometimes to drop off from something or pick it back up. I feel like your journey is such a testament to like, it's never too late to say, I'm called back to that. I want to do that again. And I'm just so proud of you. Like, I'm just so excited for everybody reading your stories. No, we're not crying on the internet tonight.
Yeah,
Gretchen.
I know. Like,
it's fine. Lock it in.
No. Thank you so much for saying that. It has taken a lot of self-reflection for me not to kind of sink into that place, right? And to be able to talk about my journey in a way that I would hope inspires others to know that it's not too late. And it literally is like the dedication of my second book, which is like, for anyone who thinks that it's too late to tell your story, it's not, and I think that there's just, it really is ingrained in us, right? That like a lot of us who are raised a certain way, like you graduate from high school and you go to college and you get your job and you do this and then you get married and then you have kids and blah, 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 blah. And like time is a vortex, like life is a crazy black hole. The world is on fire. Like live your life, do what you want to do, tell the stories you want to tell, So
Oh my God. It's like we're all on that game of life pegboard and we just have to like go around the circle and like not, I'm driving my car off. I'm going. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, let me just like give it a little boot out the door and like, let's see what happens instead.
Oh my gosh. I love that so much. Well, speaking of the Shattered Crown trilogy and like the journey. Okay. So we all haven't read the conclusion yet, but you've written the conclusion. But my non-spoiler question is, did the story stay on track from what you thought it would be? Or were there some twists and turns and curveballs for you as an author along the way?
The question is yes to both. So largely it has stayed on track in terms of like my vision for the overall story. I am a big plotter when I write. So like I had things pretty worked out for things that I wanted to happen. But even the most like detailed, dedicated outline, your characters are going to start to veer in certain directions as you're drafting. I mean, I think most writers would probably say this, right? Whether or not it's just because like chemistry arises between characters that you didn't think about, happening, or in the process of writing some quippy banter or whatever, like somebody says something and you're like, actually, like that's a pretty good idea. That sort of thing. So I think that there are definitely elements that got added to the
Yeah.
story after that initial kind of like heavy outline that have had pretty significant impacts on the entire trilogy and especially on like
Wow.
the events of the first book. And yeah, like without spoiling anything,
Yeah.
just like the one particular character, like there turns out to be like a pretty big plot twist toward the end that was not actually in my
Mm,
initial iteration
really? Of the
of the
first book?
book, of
Because
the
I'm
very
piecing
first book.
together what you're talking about right now. We'll come
Yes,
back. We're gonna come back to this.
we'll come back to that. But
We'll come
yeah, so
back.
there was something that wasn't in my
Wow.
very initial iteration, and I'm so glad that I left room, to explore
Yeah.
that a little bit, and then was able to kind of go back to the beginning and plant a few additional like teeny little seeds and stuff like that. So I think the answer is that I definitely like have told the story I set out to tell initially, but there was a lot of room for things to grow and blossom and things to change. I did not plan on book two being as spicy as it ended up being, but like there was a lot of chemistry that could not be denied between our two main characters. So
I mean, I don't think anyone listening to this who's read the second book is complaining. I mean, I think they're like, "Oh, get it,
You're
girl.
welcome,
Get it, girl." So, I mean, we're gonna chalk that. That's a win for all of us.
that's a
in
win
the read.
for following the inspiration that comes later.
I'm so glad you listened to that little voice. You were like, "That's the one. That's the one."
Me too.
Oh my gosh. Well, you created like truly such a rich and vibrant world in these books. For those of you who may not have read the Shattered Crown trilogy, almost trilogy yet, it is like the most colorful world I've ever read in black and white words on a page. There's something about it is this just so vibrant. How did you approach world building?
I love this question, so thank you for
Yay.
asking it. I mean, every author is definitely going to have like different methods and different, priorities and stuff like that. For me, it was really important to myself to focus on world building first. So before even the ideas of the story, before the characters of Cedric and Illyria like popped into my brain, I was really focused on world building. I started out with kind of drawing out a map, figuring out the different, magical races that I wanted to be in this world, the way that the magic system would work, the fact that I wanted humans to be able to wield magic a little bit differently than like the magical, magic born races of Arcanus. I basically created like a whole little wiki for myself.
Oh my
where I
gosh.
detailed like the lore, the world, the war that informs the events of the story, like all of this stuff. And I'm honestly like so happy with myself that I did that because it has become such an amazing resource. It was like a gift from past Gretchen to future Gretchen as I continued writing the story and it got more and more complex because there's stuff in there like I was obviously able to like also create like character guides and stuff. So like what color eyes did I give this character again? Like easy to look up, but also stuff like for consistency with like the timeline and like I actually created like a little aging chart so I could be like Faye age at this rate and like Sylvan's age at this rate and all of this stuff. So it seems really complex and it was like a lot of very heavy front loading, but it made the process of writing out the story so much smoother and so much easier. And it achieved what I was hoping it would achieve, which like prevented me from writing myself into corners that I needed to like belatedly figure out some sort of magical solution to, because I really felt like I was able to have a very holistic approach to the world building. And because I tried to focus on it like that too, I feel like I was able to, develop like the cultures kind of behind the different races who inhabit the world and the history a little bit more. And hopefully, I mean, it sounds like I achieved the, way that kind of seeps into things in just kind of like an immersive way, which was always my goal. So,
okay, I'm like my jaw's on the floor. I am fascinated by this. So you're telling me you came up with all of this stuff before you even knew who was maybe specifically living in the world?
Yes. Yep. That's exactly what happened. So, I mean, like it started really big and it got narrower and narrower, right? So it started with like the world itself, the different races, and then it started to get into like, okay, what's the history of the world? Like how do the Celestials come into play? What is the history of this war that was between like the Arcanians and the humans that tore these, chasms into the ground? And from there, then, okay, slowly I started getting the idea of who our main characters were going to be. And that really, that's where the ideas for Illyria and Cedric were born, from the concept of like, what I see a lot in fantasy and romantasy is like our human female main character who like, you know, finds herself in Fey world or like walking through a portal or like in some other kind of like situation being rescued by this like all powerful shadow wielding male. And I'm not complaining about any of that because I love it so much. But I just kept thinking like, wouldn't it be fun to kind of just like swap them a little bit and give us a dude in distress instead?
You totally did give us a dude in
and a
distress.
shadow mommy coming to the rescue, and then, you know, from there, like, Cedric and Illyria really basically wrote themselves.
Wow. I am like, I do not know these characters as well as you do, but like, I am just like, as a reader of these books, I am sat. I'm like, oh my God, that is so cool. Because I was actually wondering that about like one of the things I think happens in such a fun way in your books is those tropes kind of flipped on their head. Because you're right, when we read romantasy and fantasy, there are certain things we come to expect to happen or things that we assume might happen because we're used to things playing out a certain way. And man, Illyria and Cedric, you really said Uno reverse on that one.
Just give it a little flipperoni, like, you know, flip the pan. Yeah, I mean, it made it really fun to read. I got the most amazing compliment one time, and it was like from someone who basically was like, they really loved the way that I flip tropes, and they could really tell that I love the genre and that I read a lot of romantasy. And I love that because it's true. I love the genre. I read so much. And the year that I set out to write Smoke and Scar, I think I read like well over like 100 and, oh God, I don't even want to admit how many books I read that year.
Well, you just admitted it was in the triple digits. So.
It was in the triple digits, but it was not even like low triple digits. It was like a lot. I just have so much respect for like the way that authors are able to so deftly weave together like the fantasy and the epicness and the scale of these stories with such like a heart-wrenching and heartwarming romance, and just like the way that, you know, like it all kind of comes together. And so being able to kind of focus on wanting to present the same things that I love so much in a somewhat fresh way was like really important to me, without trying to feel like I was like, I'm not like other girls. Like I'm gonna, you know, like this is nothing like anything you've ever read before. Like I'm not saying that because that's not the book that I wanted to write and read. I wanted to write the book that I would want to read, you know, basically. Just with like...
I'm so sorry. I just picture you marketing it as like, not your girlfriend's romantasy, like it's the other one. Oh my gosh, but it was so fun to read because I do think there are so many elements of your story that are true to the genre, right? We see so much found family in the romantasy genre because we love it. And you built the most beautiful found family in your story. It's like they're all just so perfect and they pick at each other. Your banter, like your little like jabs from the one character to another, it reminds me of like Thanksgiving dinner at somebody's house.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine? Can you imagine them all sitting around like a table with like Cedric trying to carve the turkey and like Illyria being like, oh my God, let me just do it.
Well, because Cedric would have a diagram and he would be like, well, I heard this is the best one.
Exactly. Like I looked it up online that you're supposed to cut counterclockwise to the blah, 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 blah. And Illyria would be like dagger in the breast, like tearing off a leg and just like going to town.
This is just a question I just thought of. Whose little picky banter is the most fun for you to write? Like, who jumps to your head? Like, their sense of humor as a character speaks to you.
Well, oh my gosh. Like, how am I supposed to choose? There's a lot of good, like, little, like, quippy one-liners in there. I will say, I do really like writing Illyria's banter in particular because she's super snarky. She's so good. And I am not actually personally a very snarky person. Like I always say that Illyria is like my aspirational character. I don't like necessarily consider her a relatable character for myself. I want to like channel her energy. But actually my two favorite characters to write their dialogue is Thrag and Tristan. Yeah. So both of them just have like the best personalities, like very like in your face senses of humor. Like Thrag and Nox like playing off of each other as kind of like, you know, the foil and stuff like that is really, really fun. I have a lot of love for a lot of my characters, but I would have to say those ones.
I mean, I cannot blame you because they're all like, as soon as I asked you this question, I'm like, but they're all lovely in their own way because they're all so unique to each other. But Thrag, what a hoot. What a stinking hoot.
He is so much fun. But honestly, it is also fun too, like when I'm writing dialogue and like one of the characters who's like more serious or more reserved, like a Cedric or a Nox or something, and they'll say something that's like very funny actually, and then the other characters have to react to being like, did you just make a
Oh.
joke? Like, where am I? You know? And I'm like, I feel like that's also very relatable. You always have those like really secretly funny friends too,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh,
in real life.
yeah.
And I was like trying to channel some of those back.
Oh my gosh, we do all have that friend that you're like at the party and they finally say something and you can hear everyone's like heads turn. Like, wait a minute. Oh, that is totally Knox. That is Knox.
Yeah.
He is that guy in the corner just waiting for his one moment to say something. I love it. I mean, your love for your characters definitely comes out in another way, which is, I mean, I feel like we need to talk about the character art addiction. We need to call it an addiction at this point, Gretchen. It's not, I'm not here to...
I openly admit that it's an addiction.
Yes.
It's a sickness, truly. Like what I have for character art. It's like, oh man.
If you don't follow Gretchen on social media, I'm going to need you to pause this podcast and go follow Gretchen so you can know what I'm talking about. But if you want to see characters in every angle, style, amount of dress possible, Gretchen has you covered. Okay, Gretchen,
especially that last one.
How did the character art addiction begin is question one. And how do you find all these amazing artists is question two about this.
This is an excellent first question because I feel as though I am not sure entirely what my origin story, like my first hit of character art was. I just know that like I really love character art like as a consumer of you know being in the bookish space. I thought right away that it would be really magical to see my characters come to life in this way, especially Illyria, who is very unique. She has her periwinkle hair, she has wings, she has like a very distinct style. Yeah, so I couldn't tell you exactly what it was that kind of like did it. I just knew that like as I was starting to progress the story, I started commissioning character art, you know, to help market the books, but also just to help me with my own visualization. And it's very inspiring for me to get art back from artists. And it really was kind of this cycle where it would like help inspire like the next iteration as I was writing and stuff like that. So yes, I don't know exactly what it was, but as for how I find all of these artists, I mean, there are so many incredible, amazing artists on bookish social media. So this kind of just brings us back to like the fact that there is this online community out there where people are sharing, other authors are commissioning art, artists are sharing their portfolios, and I just like built my algorithm like brick by brick or whatever because I just like see a lot of art all the time. It's actually like terrible. It's very enabling. I'm like, oh, and another one, and another one, and another one. But yeah, I just like there's so much talent out there, and just kind of like the cohesion of the way that bookish artists and authors work together in this sphere is really cool to me. I think it's like a very special relationship. And yeah, it's indescribable, like the way that seeing your characters come to life visually like that, like hits. I don't know. It's just like you'll hear it a lot from people who like commission their first piece or whatever. They're like, oh, they come to me and they're like, I get it, Gretchen. Like I understand. And I'm like, don't be like me. I don't want you to go into debt, but like, yeah, you get it now.
Oh my gosh. I think it's so cool that you have seen your characters through the lens of so many artists because, of course, there are physical features and things about your characters that are true because that's the way you described them. But I feel like as a reader, when an author releases characters out into the world, we're all crafting our own art in our head, right? I probably see Illyria differently than you do exactly or somebody else. And I love how that comes through in the art that you post from these people. Like Illyria always has periwinkle hair and her wings and Cedric and his brown hair, but there's still elements of them that people have like crafted on their own. And I feel like that speaks to the experience.
Yes, absolutely. And it's why I really try and foster like and encourage all of the artists I work with to utilize their artistic license and to get creative with things. And I have like a reference doc where I kind of highlight, you know, like these are the elements, give Cedric his lip scar and, you know, he's got brown hair and this is their eye color and like that kind of stuff. But I'm very explicit about like making sure that they feel, you know, they can take it and run. And I love working with artists who have a very clear vision in their own head too. Some of them love being told, you know, and everybody works really differently. So some of them like being like prescribed very specific thing that I want in the art piece. Some of them I can send a few references and be like, you know, like go forth. I've been fortunate enough to work with artists who have read the books and then been
Mm-hmm.
like, I would really love to do this scene in particular. Like that kind of
Ooh,
thing is like
yeah.
eternally cool. So yeah, it's just like there's always a little bit of a different
Yeah.
experience working with each person as
Oh,
well, and getting to see the culmination of that creativity. And then it's just like extra special because like art is beautiful no matter what, but then it's like those are my characters, like that you made that beautiful art
oh,
out of, you know, like that kind of thing, right?
I
And
love
so
that.
then yeah.
Oh my gosh,
I've
that
cried
makes
over
me
a lot of art.
I don't blame you. I mean, I think you should cry over some of it, and I think you should kick your feet and giggle. Especially the people on your Patreon have some things to kick their feet and giggle about. Just saying.
Maybe there's a not small amount of blushing and feet giggling happening over on Patreon.
As there should be. I was thinking back on your author journey as well, and I know that you mentioned you are a full-time author now, which is so exciting, but you weren't always, right? You had another job and you have kids and a whole life. How have you maintained balance in that? Or maybe you haven't, or you know what? Or I guess I'm thinking about for people who want to start another pursuit, right? On top of the things that they are doing. How did you manage that? Or try to
I mean
manage that?
the you know very short answer is that like I did not maintain balance for a very long time, and I think that that's probably a common thing that you'll hear from people who are trying to juggle a lot of stuff. But I mean, I think really it comes down to like the adage or whatever that like you know you can do something fast or you can do it quick, or like you can do something fast, you can do it cheap, or you can do it good. Like obviously that doesn't really apply exactly, but it's the idea that like something is going to have to give even if temporarily, right? So at different points within my journey, like different aspects of my life have like been more of a focus and some have
Mm-hmm.
been less, and that's very human and that's very natural. I
Yeah.
as mentioned, I do have ADHD, so I tend to hyper focus pretty hard on certain
Mm-hmm.
things like at a time. And it's why I've been able to kind of like do a lot in writing in a relative, you know, like everything's relative, but in like a relatively short amount of time. But there are also, you know, sacrifices and like the amount of quality time that I was able to spend with my family, you know, like maybe like did suffer a little bit. And I'm very fortunate to be starting to kind of come back out of that. Or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just like obviously everyone's career demands and like their day job demands are very different as well. So certain people may be impacted more on being able to like juggle things during the day versus, you know, like, I mean, I will say the biggest thing that I sacrifice is sleep. So like, I'm like, oh, if you want to be like me, just like don't ever sleep and you'll get it all done. Obviously, this is not actually a recommendation by any means, like your health really matters.
Go to bed, everybody.
Yeah.
Go to bed.
Yeah, go to bed. I mean, basically, I try to do everything through the lens of like nothing is permanent. And so it is natural to have areas where like something will be more demanding of your time and you just, you know, try and make up for it in other ways. So like making sure to, you know, tuck my kids into bed every night and read them a story before opening my computer back up to start writing late at
Yeah.
night or whatever the case is, right? Like there'll always
Yeah.
be sacrifices. And I think everybody is kind of constantly on the struggle to find work-life balance, like no matter
Yeah.
what your work is. And so I'm certainly not an expert. I can say
No.
what I think people shouldn't do. Like I'm not necessarily like in a position to be able to say like you should definitely do X, Y, or Z. But yeah, I mean of course I wouldn't change anything really other than maybe like to be a little bit kinder to myself, I think, in retrospect, because especially as women and as moms, like we tend to, I think, be very, very hard on ourselves, like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm a bad mom because I'm not like doing this. Or, you know, like, here's a good example. Like this year for Christmas, my sister was hosting Christmas. We like alternate
Okay.
at like traveling for Christmas. And I was so buried in my deadline for finishing my draft of book 3 because it was recently picked up by a traditional publisher. So I had like a real deadline for the first time. And I didn't decorate my house for Christmas this year for the first time ever. Like
Wow.
we didn't get a
Yeah.
tree or anything like that. And I felt horrible, even though I knew that my kids were still going to get an amazing magical Christmas experience because we were going to my sister's house and all this stuff. I was super, super hard on myself because like I felt like, you know, she's got to be able to do it all kind of stuff. But the reality is that I just couldn't fathom putting that on my plate, like with all of the other stuff that I had going on and kind of adjusting to this new situation of like having, you know, external deadlines and stuff that I was responsible for. And in the end, will my 6-year-old and 8-year-old remember that like they went 1 week in December without like Christmas decorations in their house, when they were like 10 years ago? Like probably not, but I was very hard on myself for that. And so I think giving grace to ourselves in the knowledge that we are constantly like as long as you're trying, right? Like as long as we are like attempting, that's all we can really do. Like that's all that we can expect of ourselves. So
oh my, this was the therapy session I needed. I'm telling you, because it's the guilt. You're right. We feel like we always have to do things the way we've always done them. And when life ebbs and flows, it's like you're instantly giving yourself a fail on that report card. Like, why are we grading ourselves, first of all, is like problem number one. It's crazy. And we don't give ourselves the grace we give other people. Like, as you're telling me the story about Christmas, I'm like, Gretchen, it makes perfect, like, your children were fine. They will survive without the tree. But like, you were probably beating yourself up, and I would have done the same thing. It's wild. It makes me sad because I wonder how many people don't pursue things because they can't get past that, like, what might I have to sacrifice in order to try this?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that you really like hit the nail on the head there. Like, I can guarantee that there are like millions of people out there who want to do something. Like they have a dream of, doing X, Y, or Z, taking a class, learning a skill, writing a book, like whatever the case is. And they just, the excuse is always going to be like, I just don't have time. I just don't have time. And I believe you. Like, I believe that you don't have time because like none of us have time.
Right.
So it is really about making that conscious choice of being like, how do I make time? Like, what is it going to impact? And am I okay with it impacting that thing, even if just for a little while, right? And it's hard. There's no right answer. Like, no one can ever tell you, yeah, like, this is worth it, right? Like, this will be worth the sacrifice. But for me, I mean, I have been very lucky to feel like the efforts that I've put into this have come to, fruition in a lot of like really exciting ways that build new pathways and new opportunities for my family too, not just for myself and for my career, but, having I'm going to like get emotional about this, like talking about it, but like like pulling, sorry, like I pulled a homework assignment out of my daughter's backpack one day, and it was like her saying, it was just like a little about me paragraph, and it like talked about how much she loves reading fantasy books and how her mom is an author and like how she wants to be an author in the future and stuff like that. And like it was like it was like catching a stray, but like in a positive way because I just like wasn't expecting it, and then I'm sitting here like sobbing over this like crumpled up piece of like classroom paper. But like just like the ways that we don't even see how following our own passions impacts our family, even if I'm like suffering over like, oh my God, I missed a basketball game because I had to do like, X, Y, or Z, or like even this very weekend when I had to kind of go to this book con, and like my amazing husband has been home with the kids, and I'm like, hey, see you suckers, but like inside I'm like, oh, I'm missing so much, yeah. So it's always going to be like an ebb and flow, but I think that there's never anything wrong with trying to follow the call of your heart, right? I mean, oh my God, that sounds so cheesy, but it's like very like real.
It's so real because I feel like our kids need to see us walk the walk, right? Parents were always preaching, you can do anything, try things, do things, dream big. And then sometimes they don't watch us do that. We shut ourselves in a box, and I think it's really powerful for our kids. Like my son is downstairs right now with a box of Cheez-Its, a hope and a prayer while I record this podcast, but he knows that this really matters to me, and he thinks it's cool, like your daughter and her paragraph about being an author. I think that's just so, I hope, did you keep the little paragraph? Or did she have to? Okay, good.
No, I kept it. Yeah, no, it's in my office. And like, I have like a photo of like the first time that she found my book at a library, like in a public library. And like my husband was with her, and they sent me a photo. And it happened again while I was out of town for like a book related thing. And I was sitting in my car, like I was supposed to like literally drive home. He sends me this picture, and I just like sat in my car in a parking lot outside of Starbucks for like 40 extra minutes, like crying.
Oh my
Because it was so special. She looked really proud in this photo, like holding my book up with like its shiny library, cover, like the plastic and stuff like that. And you're so right that like it seeps into everything else. And we do want to walk the walk for our children, right? We want to show them that anything is possible. And this really kind of like loops right back to what we talked about earlier with like, it's not too late to start following that. Like if you
No.
had aspirations of something when you were a kid or a teenager or a young adult and life derailed you in some way, shape, or form, whether or not by circumstance or by choice, you really can go back to figuring out, if that's
Yeah.
still something that you want. It just means trying.
Yes. And trying can be the scariest part, truthfully. I mean, it's horrifying to feel like you're going to fail at something, or like you made the sacrifices that you were just describing and then it was for nothing. But I also
For nothing.
firmly believe that nothing is nothing. Like it always matters what you try.
Yes. Yeah,
so.
absolutely. And this is like how I felt for a long time about that hiatus that I took, right? Kind of this unintended hiatus, like me feeling like I had squandered the one opportunity that I would have to be an author because I like couldn't keep it together and like keep it going and sustain this and like write the next book, and feeling like I did all of that for nothing and like nothing would ever come of it. Like I said before, I mean, like if I hadn't done that, would I have written the book that I wrote now? Like, no, there's no way.
No.
Every single choice we make, every single experience we have informs the person that we are right now. So, and there's actually a part in book 2, I think, where Cedric specifically tells this to Illyria, and he is basically like, I could never begrudge any of the things that made you the person that you are today. He says a lot of swoony things in book 2 for sure, but like this was like one that really, when it kind of came out of my fingers, I was like, damn, he's good.
He is good. He is so good.
True. She's really suffering with like all this conflict about like all of the things, the dark things in her past and like how everything has kind of come to a head and feeling like she's not a good person. And he's like, you are a good person. And like everything that you have been through made you the person that you are today. So like, how could I ever, anyway, so I don't think that's too spoilery to just say like, he's very good in book 2.
No, and I don't think it is either. We got to promote to the people, Gretchen. This is your new marketing strategy right here.
My marketing strategy is just book 2 Cedric Thorne. Like that's the whole strategy.
I mean, and I will co-sign, co-stamp that entire sentence as someone who's read the book. Oh my gosh. All right. I have one more non-spoiler question before we get into, I have, of course, some ones with spoilers in them. Okay. Not that I want to wish away the Shattered Crown trilogy, but do you have any ideas brewing for after this trilogy? And I need you to know, I asked the people of the internet, I said, hey, I'm going to be interviewing Gretchen Powell Fox. What do you want to know? And more than one person, Gretchen said, to ask you about, and I quote, the spicy moon vampires. Is that a thing? Is that like, are you writing about spicy moon vampires?
That is indeed a thing. Yes. So the general question is I actually have I have several works in progress.
Okay.
My mind is kind of like flooded with stories. And so it's really just a matter of like trying to focus myself enough to like pick one to really be running with. And one of them is indeed a spicy moon vampire book. The very, very loose concept is there are these 4 different vampire factions, each one based off of a different phase of the moon. That's why I call them the moon vampires.
Okay.
And they have like different powers, and there's a human FMC who like gets swept up into, this crazy world and stuff like that. And it's all very much in super early stages. So I don't have very much more other than that to talk about, but it's a really, really fun concept, and I'm really excited to continue exploring it for sure.
Oh, gosh, I'm so excited. I mean, I'm extra excited. I mean, I don't even know what I'm excited about at this point. I am excited because I want the conclusion to your trilogy, but I'm telling you, I will read whatever you write, and if it's a spicy moon vampire, sign me up so fast. So fast.
Excellent. Yeah, yes. There's a lot of things brewing, but that's definitely like one that I am extremely excited about.
Fantastic. All right, to everyone out there, we're about to head into a couple questions that could lead to spoilers for the 2 books currently out in the Shattered Crown trilogy. So if you've not read Smoke and Scar or Splintered Kingdom, you might want to press pause, go read them, and come back. All right, we need to talk about Sid. You stole our hearts with Sid, the dear sweet shadow kitty cat. What was your inspiration for that character? Talk about Sid as an author.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I love Sid, and I love how much of a wonderful response readers have had to Sid. I am just personally a huge like animal companion trope
Yeah.
person. Like I just like friggin' love it every time. And I always knew that I would want to weave this into the story. I thought it was a particularly great example and examination of Illyria's growing powers,
Mm-hmm.
and the way that her powers are tied to Cedric specifically, because, you know, Illyria is, of course, our shadow mommy, but she also is in the books a wild shaper. And so she has like
Mm-hmm.
essentially nature magic, but it's described in the books as kind of like being able to like reach the thread of life kind of that goes through
Yeah.
like nature and stuff like that. And so I just thought like the creation of a shadow cat that ended up kind of being like a personification of like her inner thoughts and stuff like that, it was just like a very cool use of magic, as well as like being very symbolic as to her growing power, and the fact that like really Sid's creation came about because of her like continued
Yeah.
growing connection and bond with Cedric. So, you know, story wise, there was a lot of reasoning for it. And then
Yeah.
just like personally, I just really wanted to have an animal companion,
Oh
and
my
like why not,
gosh.
it had to be a shadow cat. Like there was like the whole like black cat golden retriever dynamic
Yes.
between the two of
Yes.
them, you know, it just like it just seemed too perfect.
Oh my gosh. And like, okay, I'm not gonna lie, like my gears are now turning and I'm like, Sid got bigger as Illyria got better at her I'm like, oh my, you did that. I see you now. I get
You see it, you
I
nailed it, that's
get-
exactly
Oh, well,
it.
and I love how Sid can like portal. Like Sid can disappear and come back out of other realms. It's
Sid,
fascinating.
I just felt like Sid had to act like a true cat, which was
Yeah.
that she does whatever she wants, like pretty much. And it also, I will admit, is very convenient from a storytelling perspective that Sid can kind of like disappear and reappear at
Yeah.
will, because then I don't have to do quite as much like explaining of where Sid is. Like it, you know, it can be explained in a couple of lines very easily. Sid's off like doing something, Sid steps back into the shadows, a slice appears in the air, and Sid pops out, you know, versus having to like constantly be aware of like, where is this cat? Where is this cat? Where is this cat as I'm writing?
Genius. Look, so
So
you did it again. You were like, I'm going to
yeah.
give myself a total easy way to have this cat
Apparently
show
my
up
whole
everywhere.
method behind everything is like, how do I make this as easy on myself as possible? But also it ends up being pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
you know, everybody wins.
I would say from a reader standpoint, I was sold. I was like, this cat is my new favorite character.
Well,
Oh
you know,
my
it
gosh.
allows her to make really dramatic entrances, which also is always very fun to write, right? Like, you know, Sid
Yeah.
to the rescue type stuff, which
It's
is
so
always
good.
really great.
Oh my gosh. So I know that you are pretty active on social media with your fans. What is your favorite fan theory you have seen for your books? I'm not asking you to confirm or deny it, but is there something that like you read it and you were like, like it, like I don't know, made you like giggle a little?
I think a lot of the fan theories, like right after the first book came out, before Splintered Kingdom came
Hmm.
out, about like the identity of the lost princess, of, you know,
Yes.
Princess Selene, like a lot
Yeah.
of that stuff. There were a lot of different theories, like how Illyria is connected, how Cedric is
Hmm.
connected, like what is going to happen with the crown, like all of that stuff was always really, really fun to see, because you get some people who nailed it. You get some people who are like, you know, kind of like dancing around it. You get some
Yeah.
people who have like very off base theories. And, you know, it's really fun. I have a author Discord, and sometimes like readers will like talk about their fan theories and stuff like that. Those were the most fun for me to see, just because they were like very rooted in reality.
Yeah.
Another really fun, well, I see, I don't want to accidentally spoil anything. There are some really cool theories out there about Nox, I will say, and those are also
Okay.
very interesting for me to read. So I will, without confirming nor denying anything, I think you can all rest
Hmm.
assured that you will learn a whole lot more about Tenebrous Nox and where they came from and their purpose in book 3. So that's what I'll say.
Well, you just didn't make my life any easier, because now I'm like, wait a minute, what are you gonna tell? Like, why don't you want to tell me the fan theory is about Nox? I cannot wait. I cannot wait, because Nox is like, I don't know. I don't have a good analogy for this. The nut we haven't cracked open yet. We
Yeah,
need to know.
they're
Yes.
a big enigma, right? Like,
Yes.
they're like a crucial part of like the whole little like
Yeah.
found family squad. They know so much. They like, why do they know so much? You know,
Why do
like
they
there's
know
there's
so
all
much?
that little stuff. So you will see, you will find out. You can at
Okay.
least rest assured in knowing you will get some answers
Okay.
in book 3.
All right. That'll help me sleep tonight. So my next question, I'm asking for a friend. The friend is in fact me. Let's say a character needed to regrow wings. Like, let's say that was something that like needed to, I'm just like, is that like, now that I know you have a whole wiki of your world, is that biologically possible? Like, can a fae...
Why ever could you possibly be asking this question?
I mean, I guess we're in the spoiler section, so why don't I just go ahead and say it? How dare you? What have you done?
I deserve that. I do. I will say that how do I answer this question?
I don't know, Gretchen. How do you?
There's not really the biological ability to regrow wings, is what I do have to say. There might be other things that could potentially happen surrounding something like that, but no, like I don't think like it's possible for a fae whose wings were like hypothetically cut off in order to just sprout anew.
I like how you said hypothetically, like you didn't do that. You did that. We didn't do that. We didn't do that. I didn't write that.
I get so many DMs when people finish books too. I truly, like, I thought I got a lot of DMs, like, at the big twists in book one, you know, like Evander coming back and, like, you know, like the Zephyr stuff and then the Malchior stuff at the end. Yeah. Like, it's nothing compared to, like, the kinds of DMs I get for when people finish book two.
I am going to say, like, I'm coming at you as a reader. I love to be hurt. So, like, I'm blaming you, but I'm also like, yes, this was deliciously evil. I think, here's my, not fan theory, but my, like, why I'm like, is because I think this is going to turn a side of Cedric that we haven't seen yet, because we are now about to get the, like, she is in crisis and he is pissed. Like, because I can't imagine he's going to just be like, oh, well, you know, like, that's not what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah, very, very like this man who is literally so down horrendous for this woman that he was willing to, like, turn his back on literally everything that he's ever thought or been raised with his entire life. Like, he's probably like, she good. She good. I'll just keep on keeping on. You know, that's very much his personality.
I want to see Cedric burn the world down. That's what I want.
I mean, I don't think that it is a spoiler to say that Cedric is entering what I'm calling his Feral Rick era in book 3. Right from, like, the first sentence of the first chapter that we see him in, I think that fans will be pleasantly, hopefully, you know, like, not surprised, but, like, I think they'll be pleased to see where he's at when we see him next, kind of thing.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
This is what I say, and like what all my, like, some of my beta readers and stuff have said, is just that, like, if you can imagine, he does in fact get even better in book 3. So, like, you know, I know it's hard because, like, book 2 Rick is pretty great, but book 3 Rick he's definitely in his, like, I just call him Feral Rick. That's just what I call him.
I don't think we need any other description. Listen, girl, we are marketing this book so hard today. Like, that Feral Rick.
You gotta see this.
You gotta see why he's feral.
Well, you know, because, like, he has, like, a real character arc, right?
Yes.
Like, he starts in a very different place in book 1 through book 1 and then, like, through book 2. And, like, I think that it continues to be able to say that, like, he continues to, like, go through a lot of different phases and stages of growth, which is, I love reading about that. You know, I love a character who exhibits growth, and, like, you will never catch me being a Chaol hater. Like, I am a Chaol lover, defender for life, and I start a lot of fights on the internet about that. So, you know, similarly, like, you gotta stick with it.
If you ever need to call me to that hill that you're willing to die on, I will lay there with you. We will go down in flames because we're right and everybody else is wrong, and that's unfortunate for them.
The Chaol/Chol Defense League is us too, right here.
It is. There's a few other people. I got some people in my corner willing to, you know. Yeah. All right. Other than Feral Rick, which I put that on the t-shirt, Gretchen's marketing team, is there anything else you can tell us about Shadow and Sun, like a mere nugget to excite the people? Like, is there any little... Dealer's choice. Your choice.
I think that it will feel like a very satisfying conclusion for the trilogy. There is a lot that gets wrapped up, a lot of epicness. It's more fast-paced and, like, more high action than book 2 was, and yet there is not a skimping on the romance component at all. So I'm so excited for people to read it. I don't really know how to, like, say anything else that's not going to give something major away, but yeah, I hope that people will really find it to be, like, a very satisfying conclusion to the trilogy that, you know, continues to help us, believe in the power of, good versus evil and love conquering all with just like a sprinkle of like some additional heartbreak along the way as we do. So
that was the most like beautifully political answer I've ever heard in my life.
I said nothing.
You said nothing, but you said everything, and I was like soaking it in. Like I'm gonna listen to this later and be like, what was she trying to tell me? The big thing I'm wondering, and I know you're not gonna be able to say it, but like I'm still gonna try, is like, so your covers are so distinct, and we had Illyria, and then we had Cedric. Mm-hmm. Do you know what the cover is going to look like? You don't have to tell me what's on, but like, do you know?
Oh, I know. In fact, the finished cover dropped in my inbox not very long ago, so you will not have to wait for too long. I mean, who knows? By the time this airs, maybe I'll have revealed it. But like, yes, the cover is by the same designer, the same illustrator, and very much in the same theme as the first two covers. But you guys will definitely have to see who ends up on the cover, because some people have guessed correctly.
The way you said who has me like a singular because I had a big like my own theory is that it wouldn't just be one person on the cover, but then I was like, is that going to mess up the vibe? And I don't think it would mess it up.
I like to think of the first two covers already as kind of a progression. So you have her fully back to, the viewer. You have him, you see a sliver of his face because he's looking at her. And then like the third cover, maybe something will continue in that progression where we get to see more of whoever is on the cover, singular or plural.
Oh my gosh. I'm getting the sleuths on this. I'm hiring the detectives of social media. Somebody has an idea out there. All right, Gretchen, before I let you go, I have a little segment I love to do at the end of Fantasy Fan Reads, where I ask a chaotic question that has nothing to do with books, reading, or anything in that vein. But this is a question I, in fact, have fought with many people about, and I'm going to go ahead and say you're here to settle this. All right?
Okay.
So, I need to know, does a straw have one hole or two?
I actually find this to be an easier question to answer than, say, is a hot dog a sandwich? So I appreciate this question.
Okay.
I feel quite strongly, actually, that a straw has one hole. It is one continuous hole that you start on one end that follows the way through.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I'm guessing that you're team two holes based off of this reaction.
I just want it to be two holes. To me, it's...
I have a straw right here. Like, you can see through, if you can see all the way through the same hole, it's one hole. Like,
okay. All right, here's my analogy. Okay?
I'm ready.
If I dig a hole in the floor and I tunnel to the next room and pop out, did I make one hole or two in my home?
Okay, I guess. Okay, yeah. You know what? This is complex. I can see that there are layers to this answer, because I would say that there are two holes in your home, but if it was a singular hole that you dug to the outside, I would say that is like the same hole.
But what if I Okay. All right. I mean, listen, I will let you know science agrees with you, because have I Googled this like the weirdo that I am? 1,000%. I have. I just emotionally feel like it's two holes, and that's
you're like, I'm not ready to let go of the idea that this is two holes. Also, I just have to respect the fact that we're like talking about romantasy books and we're talking about multiple holes, and it is like, in fact, actually a very science-based conversation and not about what you would think it would be if any of this stuff was taken out of context. So like,
I mean, I wasn't going to point out that your digestive system is like a straw through your body, and but like, here we are, if you want to go that direction.
I do consider my mouth and other places to be two separate things, so I guess that's fair.
Well, in that case, I'm going to give us each a point for
and
this
basically, we're at
debate.
No resolution for settling
Zero.
the debate. In fact, the debate continues on.
The entire comment section of this episode is just this debate just carrying on. Yes. All right. Oh my gosh. Gretchen, thank you so much for being here to chat about your journey as an author as well as your fabulous books. It was so much fun. Oh my gosh.
Oh my
This was
gosh,
like
are
a
you
dream
kidding?
come
This was the
true.
best time. I loved getting to chat with you about this stuff.
Yeah.
I remain so delighted that we were able to connect and that you
Yeah.
were willing to give Smoke and Scar a chance way back
Yeah.
before, any of this happened. I'm so honored to have been like part of your ARC reading journey too. And I cannot wait for you to read the third book.
Yeah.
You'll definitely be getting an ARC, don't worry.
Yeah. Gretchen, where are the best places for people to check you out, connect with you, find out updates about what's going on in your books? Where should people
Yeah,
go?
so all across socials, you can find me at Gretchen Writes Books. I also have a website, GretchenPowellFox.com. You can sign up for my newsletter there, and I post, like we talked about, I post lots of character art, do announcements, and lots of exciting stuff. And Smoke and Scar was picked up for its traditional publication release, and it is re-releasing on April 7th of this year. So we're kind of kicking stuff off with that, and then we'll be barreling towards that book 3 release this fall. So lots of exciting stuff.
Hey, oh my gosh, that is so awesome. I hope everybody who is listening today goes and checks you out if they haven't already. And thank you to everybody who came in and sat down in this cozy corner of the internet as well. We hope you're off to follow your dreams. And like I said, check out Gretchen's books if you haven't already. A quick reminder to go ahead and check out the Fantasy Fan Club in the link in the description. And if you're interested in checking out other shows in the network, be sure to give Fantasy FanFellas a try. It's a super fun podcast hosted by Hayden, producer of Fantasy Fangirls, and Book Talk star Stephen Walker. It is so fun, and they have been deep diving Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn. You can also follow Fantasy FanReads on Instagram, as well as me, your lovely host, The Lost Books of Jess. This is a new podcast, so please rate and review. It helps so much, and share with your friends who love cozy conversations as well. We'll see you next time.